This will be for the con exercise, even and odd functions, graphs, and tables. So the definition for even functions first, you have f of negative x equals f of x. Okay, remember that f of x is the y value you get when you plug in x. And we're saying f of negative x equals f of x. So for every x value, if you plug in the respective negative x value, you should get the same y value. All right, in other words, let's say you plug in 3 and get y equals 5. Okay, so f of 3 would equal 5, but f of negative 3 also equals 5. So if you plugged in negative 3, it's also going to be 5, all right? So the negative version of every x value returns the same y value. All right, and as a result, if you graph it, you get a reflection over the y-axis. Basically, the y-axis acts as a mirror, okay? And you get the same thing on both sides of the y-axis. So that would be an even function. Now for odd functions, we have f of negative x equals negative f of x. Okay, once again, remember, f of x is the y value you get when you plug in x. So they're saying f of negative x, for odd functions, f of negative x equals negative f of x. So let's say you have the point 5, 3. Okay, and you plug in the negative version. Right here we plugged in 5 for x and got 3. Let's say you plug in negative 5 instead of positive 5. So that's going to be negative x, and that will give you the negative y value. So this is going to be negative 3. All right, so for every x value you plug in and you change the sign, you also change the sign on the y value. As a result, you'll get a reflection over the x and y axis. All right, so just as an example, let's say we start with 5, 3. We go 5 on the x and 3 on the y. This would be 5, 3. And we'll start by reflecting it over the x-axis first. So the x-axis acts as a mirror, and this will still be 5 on the x, but down here, this will be negative 3. So this will be 5, negative 3. And then finally, we reflect it over the y-axis. So the y value will stay the same. It will still be negative 3. All right, let me see here. The y value will still be negative 3, but the x value will go from positive 5 to negative 5. All right, so just like I used in my example, you can see you reflect each point over the x and then the y-axis. Or you can do it y first and then the x-axis. Same thing, but it's a reflection over both axes for the odd functions. Problem 1, this table defines function f. Okay, we have our x and y values. According to the table, is f even, odd, or neither? Okay, so you choose one of those 3 answers. So recall from the notes, for the even function, f of negative x equals f of x. For the odd function, f of negative x equals negative f of x. All right, let's see if we can prove either one. Here at x equals 4, f of x is negative 1. All right, so in this case, f of 4 equals negative 1. Let's go to f of negative 4. Here's x equals negative 4. F of negative 4 equals 2. Okay, did either one of these work? No. Okay, f of 4 is negative 1. In order for this to work, f of negative 4 would also have to be negative 1, so it's not even. For odd, f of negative 4 would have to be the negative of this right here. It would have to be positive 1. Is that the case? No, it's not odd either. So the answer is neither. All right, so just scroll down and find neither. All right, function f is graphed. According to the graph, is f even, odd, or neither? Let's take a look. Now remember, for even, it's a reflection over the y-axis. So this right here is the y-axis. All right, and in order for that to be acting as a mirror, this part right here would have to also be on the other side of the y-axis. It would have to be a mirror image like that. But that's not what we have, so it is definitely not even. Now for the odd function, it's a double reflection. Okay, so it looks like it may be odd. If I took this part right here and reflected it over the x-axis, all right, the x-axis would be like a mirror. I'd have this right here. Okay, and then if I reflected that over the y-axis, I would have this right here. So it's looking like it may be an odd function. Let's do another test. All right, in order for it to be odd, f of negative x has to be negative f of x. Let's see, if we go to x equals 2 and trace it down, that's going to be y equals negative 6. So 2, negative 6 is one of the points. And let's see f of negative x. So let's go to f of negative 2 and see what we get. If we go to negative 2 and trace it up to the y-axis, right here we get positive 6.5. Okay, that looks to be about correct. We're supposed to get the negative version of y. So negative 6 and 6.5, that's about correct. I think at 2, this was really negative 6.5. All right. So this should be 6.5, not just 6. This is negative 6.5. Let's try it with another point. All right, right here, if we go to x equals 2.5, the y-coordinate is just 0. Okay, if we trace that to the y-axis, it's 0. Now let's see, if we go to x equals negative 2.5, it is also at 0. Okay, 0 and negative 0, same thing. All right, one more. If we go to x equals positive 1, the y-coordinate is negative 2. And if we go to x equals negative 1, the y-coordinate is positive 2. All right, I think we proved it with enough points that it's an odd function. So just scroll down and select odd. All right, function f is graphed. Is f even, odd, or neither? All right, let's see. This shouldn't be too difficult. Recall that if it's even, it's going to be reflected over the y-axis. All right, so the y-axis has to act as a mirror. We have this hump here. In order for it to be even, we'd have to have that right there. Okay, but we don't have it, so it is definitely not even. All right. Now, if it's odd, it has to be a double reflection. Let's see. Again, we have this hump right here. Using the y-axis as a mirror, we would have that right there. Okay, and then we use the x-axis as a mirror. We would have that right there. Okay, but we don't have that. We have nothing there. So it is not odd either. Okay, so for even, you reflect it over y. For odd, you reflect it over both. All right, and you can clearly see there's nothing there, so it is neither. All right, answer choice C. All of these, I think, have the same 3 choices.